Hey guys, welcome to our fourth Greek Ancestry webinar. I really can't believe we've already made it to the fourth webinar. Anyway, so for those of you who are new here, this is an educational initiative we launched 4 weeks ago, and our goal is to help you with your Greek genealogy research to help you get the most out of Greek records, learn new stuff. Um, so today's topic, it's very different to what we've done so far. So far, we've been discussing the most common types of Greek records, and to be honest, we're not done with that yet. But I decided to do this webinar today because it seems there's great interest in this topic and it needs to be covered. So our topic today is Asia Minor, and I'm going to start by giving you a very, very quick history class, and then we will go ahead with discussing records. So Asia Minor overlaps with most of today's Turkey, except for the area of Constantinople and the eastern provinces. Historically, until recent times, Asia Minor was home to very significant Greek populations. Uh, until the late Byzantine time, the 11th century, Asia Minor was predominantly populated by Greek speaking Orthodox people. Let me just recap. So, Asia Minor, the area overlapping with modern Turkey, except for Constantinople and the eastern provinces, predominantly Greek until the 11th century. Now, in the 11th century, Turkish tribes started invading the area, and that caused a gradual Islamization and Turkishization of the area. However, in the 19th century, the 19th century was a century of reforms for the Ottoman Empire. And among others, what changed was Ottoman economy. It opened up to foreigners. And that was a very good opportunity for Greeks living in Greece to move to specific areas of the Ottoman Empire. So, those new Greek migrants, together with the indigenous Greek population of Asia Minor, they created a new balance. The coasts of Asia Minor, especially the western coast and the northern coast, they became predominantly Orthodox and Greek again. But then came World War I. Turkey entered World War I in 1914 on the side of the Central Powers, the Germans and the Austrians. And under German guidance, the Ottoman Empire came up with ways to get rid of the Greek population of the West Coast primarily. So, under those circumstances, many Greeks from the west coast of Asia Minor migrated to the islands of the eastern Aegean, Chios, Samos, and Lesbos. They stayed there for a couple of years, and then in 1919, when the Greek army went into Asia Minor, those Greek families returned to their homeland. They stayed again for a couple of years, and in 1922, when the Greek army was defeated by the Turkish army, and in the treaty which followed in 1923, they were obliged to go. So, with the Treaty of Lausanne, agreed between Greece and Turkey, all all the Orthodox of Asia Minor had to go to Greece, and all the Muslims of Greece had to go to Turkey. About 1.5 million Greek Orthodox people were obliged to go, and about 500,000 Muslim people went to Turkey. Now, according to this treaty, the property the refugees had in their homelands became property of the state in whose territory the property was, but these refugees had to be compensated by the receiving country. So the Greek refugees who settled, who came to Greece, they had two options. They could choose the rural relief program or the urban relief program. With the rural program, they stated that they were farmers back in Asia Minor, so the Greek state would give them land and tools and seeds and animals, And the urban program included housing and some money for the property they had left behind, a compensation. So, for that compensation, a refugee had to fill out a form stating all the property his family had in Asia Minor, and then a committee of people from the same area. So let's say a committee consisting of people from Smyrna. They would review the applications to see if they were accurate, and they would evaluate the property and determine the amount of the compensation. Now, with these having been said, and with more people having joined us already, we will get to the records. Today, because there are too many types of records, I decided not to present each type of record separately, one by one, but instead I'm going to present you two hypothetical case studies, and we will see what records are available through those. So, the first case study. Athanasios Kepedzis was born in Andros Island, the Greek island, in the 1830s. His family was into trade, they were merchants, and in 1860, after the Ottoman economy had opened up, the Kepedzis family decided to leave Andros and settle in Çeşme. Çeşme is a little coastal town on the west coast of Asia Minor, right opposite of Chios. So they moved to Çeşme, but Athanasios Kepedzis is a Greek citizen, right? So in the elections, which take place in 1862 in Greece, Athanasios Kepedzis was eligible to vote, right? And because Athanasios Kepedzis was not the only Greek in Çeşme, sorry, Carol is messaging me at the same time. So since he was not the only one, the local consulate compiled a list of eligible voters, so a voter list, which we have already discussed in the first webinar. So a voter list of Greek citizens eligible to vote residing in Çeşme. There is actually such a list. And the interesting thing about those lists is that you not only get the individual's name and surname and the age and the occupation, but also in many cases the wife's name, the children's names. So it's really, really interesting. Alright, so the years pass, so let's say 50 years pass, and the Kepedzis family still lives in Çeşme. In 1914, when World War I starts, this family, like all Greeks in the area, is oppressed by the Turks. So they decide to just cross the sea and go to Chios. It's really close, right? So they go to Chios, but the Greek authorities, they really want to know who is coming from the Ottoman Empire into Chios, right? So the Chios authorities, they create a register of all those refugees from Asia Minor settling in Chios. And that register, it's a register of families. It's like a census record. It lists all the family members, their ages, occupations, and also information like when they settled in Chios or if they went somewhere else later. All right, so they go there 1914, and in 1919, when the Greek army goes into Asia Minor, they decide to return to Chisme because they still have their house there, they still have some relatives there. So they go to Chisme, spend a couple of years there, and then in 1923 they are obliged to go. They have no other choice. So they take their jewelry and some coins and their clothes, and they go to Chios again. Now this family preferred to get into the rural relief program, so they get some land, tools, animals, and of course the Greek state wants to know who is in which program. So we do have registers for all the refugees in the rural relief program, and these are digitized, they are available online, but are not name indexed, of course. So in this case study of a Greek family going to the Ottoman Empire, then going from Chisme to Chios, and then from Chios back to Chisme, and from Chisme back to Greece, we have voter lists, we have the Chios refugee registers of 1914, and then we also have the refugee register of 1923. Okay? I hope this is not too confusing. So, let's now turn to the second case study. Panagiotis Kouloglou, a priest in Trapezouda, Pontos. Trapezouda is today called Trabzon. So, Panagiotis Kouloglou is an indigenous in the area. His family has lived there for centuries. He's a priest. He conducts liturgies. He marries people. He baptizes children. And of course, he keeps records of the children he baptizes. In 1923, Panagiotis Kouloglou and his family have to go. They have to leave Trapezunda and go to Greece. So they take the boat and they go to Athens. But together with him, Panagiotis decides to take some of the records he was creating all these years back in Trapezunda. And in fact, there really is a baptisms register for Trapezunda of 1891. Really cool. So the family settles in Athens, and they want the urban relief program. So they want a house and they want to get some money, believing that this way they will. It's going to be easier for them to start over in their new homeland. So they fill out the form. They write in detail what they owned back in Trapezunda. They say we owned this house in that neighborhood and that house in that neighborhood, a field with olive trees, some grains, jewelry, animals, a donkey, everything. It's all there. It's all there. And this committee of neighbors, of locals, evaluates their application, and they find it accurate. Okay, they determine the amount of money that the family is going to take. But what's also interesting is, so right upon their arrival to Greece, the Kouloglou family become Greek citizens. And as Greek citizens, they are eligible to vote. So, there is a voter list of Athens of 1923-1925 where all these refugees from Asia Minor who ended up in Athens are included. And of course, we are given their first name, surname, father's name, age, and occupation. So it's really, really, really interesting. So in this case study too, an indigenous family in Asia Minor settling in Athens, we have records from Trapezunda itself, the applications and the documentation from the committees for the compensation, and the voter list of Athens of 1923. This is what I wanted to bring up. Now I will turn to your questions. Again, sorry for all this, the disturbance with the technical difficulties. You see, I get a bit stressed today. So let me start answering a question. Is there any documentation available to look with the applications? Yes. So what is easy to find is the reports of the evaluation committees, where you are given all the list of the property together with the evaluation, like how much it was worth. And this collection is kept at the archives in Athens. It is not digitized, of course not name indexed, but it's not very, very hard to search through. It's sorted by village and by destination. So for example, Trapezunda would be, there would be separate folders for people from Trapezunda settling in Athens, for people from Trapezunda settling in Thessaloniki, etc. How can I find info about a mother who became orphan and was placed in orphanage sponsored by Patriarchate in Chalki? Where can I find info on her? Well, if there are any records of that orphanage in Chalki, you could also contact the Patriarchate in Constantinople. And then the question is, where did she go after the orphanage? Did she come to Greece? Did she come to the States or elsewhere? So it really depends. And of course there's DNA, which would help you connect with relatives. How can you access these documents? So the archives of the evaluation committees, they can be found at the GAC, the Greek General State Archives in Athens. The voter lists, we have already covered that. It's they are available online, not indexed, most of them at the moment. They will soon be, these specific from Athens, they will be on MyHeritage in the next couple of weeks. And the registers for the refugees who went under the rural relief program, they have been digitized by the University of Thessaloniki, I think, and tomorrow I will publish links. If you want more information on the urban relief program and the archives for that one, I have so I'm going to include a link to my website under our education, articles, Asia Minor Ancestry, I discussed that. Let me do it now, really quick. I'm going to pin it in the chat here so you can find it easily. Alright, next question. My father's side of the family is from Zakynthos. Our family name is Guskos. Is there anything that you can tell me more about? Or Partoulis Nero? I've been told that our Partoulis is there to remind us of our Italian heritage. Is this true? Thank you for your question. About this, we have already published some records from Zakynthos, so you can take a look on the website. Otherwise, you can also book a free Greek genealogy consultation with us, or just email me after the webinar, okay? Other baptismal records and voter lists from Western Asia Minor from this time period? Good question. So, the baptismal records are really, really few for very specific areas of Asia Minor. Carol Kostakis Petranik, she just posted a link in the chat. This is a link to such similar collections preserved at the GAC, the Greek General State Archives in Athens, which have been digitized by Family Search and are available at the Family History Library in Salt Lake and perhaps in family history centers. So open that link to see if your area is in there. Now about voter lists, I can tell you there are voter lists for 10 areas of Asia Minor, and they are all from the 1860s. This is why I mentioned that in the case study. I remember there is one for Trapezunda too, for Nea Ephesos, I think for Aidini, and for other localities, about 10 in total. What areas were considered Greece before 1913? Before 1913, it was the Peloponnese, Central Greece, the Ionian Islands, and the Cyclades. 1912, 1913, we also acquired a large part of Macedonia and Crete and the islands of the Eastern Aegean, except for not the Dodecanese. Is it true that no refugees went to Dodecanese because it was Italian at that time? So, the Treaty of Lausanne, signed between Greece, and the Ottoman Empire, required Orthodox people of the Ottoman Empire of Turkey to go to Greece and Muslims of Greece to go to Turkey. It didn't include any other countries. So you really had no choice. You had to go to Greece. Now afterwards, of course, you could go elsewhere. Many families came to the States, for example. My grandmother came from Saranda Ecclesias and settled in the town of Lagada outside of Thessaloniki. Do you know if any records exist from Saranda Ecclesias or records regarding refugees from Saranda Ecclesias? For sure, there are records for Saranda Ecclesias. I can tell you there are definitely records for refugees who left from Saranda Ecclesias and went to Macedonia, and perhaps even specifically in Lagadas. When the archives open up, my team and I are going to the archives in Athens. So if anyone is interested in something, just let us know, okay? My mother's family left Smyrna before the population exchange, probably 1919 or 1920, went to Athens. Would they also be registered for the refugee program if they left Asia Minor before they were forced out? Alright, let me answer this question first. So, I think most likely yes. Because this treaty was also retrospective. So included also previous migration currents from the Ottoman Empire into Greece. So I think yes. plus, if they went to Athens, you could perhaps find your um, great grandfather or something in the voter list of Athens. Did church records from Smyrna survive, or were they destroyed in 1922? For Smyrna, take a look at the link Carol has sent in the chat to see if Smyrna is in there. It's going to be in there, I think. I'm not sure about baptismal records. Yeah. Any refugees go to Laconia? Yes, many refugees went to Laconia. And this is very interesting because seeing records after 1923, all of a sudden you see many names you were not familiar with before, and many of them, like marriage records, for example, and many of them also mention the place this family came from originally. So, like a marriage of someone from Trapezunda with a girl from Sparta. Access to Ottoman archives. There is access to Ottoman archives. They are open. The thing is, they're Constantinople. I do not think they are. I don't think many of them are digitized. And of course, perhaps as a historian, I could tell you that it also depends. Accessibility depends on what you are looking into, what you're trying to find. Does the Greek archives have a listing of where the refugees went in general? Just a list of all Smyrna refugees, for instance. Yes, so there is a register. So, 2 relief programs, 2 registers. The rural relief program, its register is available online. The urban relief program, the register is not available online, it's not digitized, it's at the archives in Athens, and it's alphabetical, so you can see people, for example, with this surname, Kaladzoglu, for example, where they settled, but you need to do it by name, by surname. If you know where they settled, then it would be easy because there would be a folder saying, for example, from Smyrna to Chios, okay, and you will know that most likely they're in there. My grandmother was from the village of Altunogluc Tsiflik. Are there any records from this village? It was near Sivas. Sivas is Sevastia in Greek. I'm not sure. I am not sure if there are voter lists and church records. But listen, guys, there are the urban relief program and the rural relief program registers and records cover all of Asia Minor, all of it. I don't think there's a single village which is left out of those 2 collections, and they are very, very interesting. I mean, to know exactly how many animals and what animals your great-great-grandparents had back in Asia Minor before the catastrophe, or how many acres they owned, and how many, like, the quantity of olive oil they had in the warehouse before leaving, it's amazing. Name change records. I was asked this question last time too. I'm not sure. If you mean that the family was known by a surname in Asia Minor and then changed the surname when they came to Greece, it is very likely that in the registers you may find them with both surnames. Now name changes should be registered somewhere. I'm just not really sure. Family Search there's an index of Greek collections digitized by Family Search, and there are some name change folders, but I've never opened one. I think there is not really a register, so it's really a very um, hard work included. Records from Krithia, Ophir, and Tenedos are their records in the GAC. Tenedos, Imbros, Tenedos, and Constantinople were excluded from the Lausanne Treaty, and this is why Greek populations were supposedly allowed to stay there, although, as you know, there was a pogrom in the 50s, and many, like the greatest part of Constantinople's Greek population left. Nea Isavra, records. If your ancestors moved from Smyrna to the States in 1907, they are not going to be included in the records I was mentioning so far, unless there are some baptismal church records or a voter list. But those records are fewer, so you will not be very lucky. However, if a relative, a sibling of this migrant ancestor stayed in Asia Minor and left in 1923, then it's very possible you will find something. Greek schools were very big in Asia Minor. I have heard my great-grandfather may have been some type of head teacher or professor in the late 1800s at one of these schools somewhere near Smyrna. Are there records of this kind at all? I don't think so. Unfortunately, I don't think so. Now, there are also some programs that have been completed or have just started with about Ottoman Greeks. There is a guy, I think he is a PhD candidate at the University of Florida. I think he's running a Ottoman Greeks project. Do you still see me? Can someone confirm I'm still live? All right. Sorry. So, yeah, there's this guy. I think his name is George Topalidis, and also the Ίδρυμα Μίζωνος Ελληνισμού Institute, Foundation of Hellenic something. I cannot come up with an English name now. So they also have a very interesting collection, particularly of oral history, and there are also some very interesting local history books. There's a book I know about Marmara. There's a book about Karaburun. If you want to search the rural relief program, how exactly do you look for it? My Greek is not great. Yeah. So for the rural relief program, we have the registers. They are accessible online. They are alphabetical. If you can read typed Greek, it will be easy. Otherwise, you just send us an email and we can look it up for you. Or you can ask for help on the Hellenic Genealogy Geek or another Greek genealogy Facebook page where people are very, very helpful. Do you think they have orphanage records in Halki at the library in the school for priests? Perhaps they do. I cannot tell you with certainty. I've been to Halki. It's really, really amazing. But you should ask them. You should ask them. I think they would be happy to receive this message. What about listing in the area of Çanakkale? Again, you would find records, the refugee records, and take a look at Carol's list, and also, you know what? Let me take a really quick look to tell you exactly which areas there are voter lists. Just give me a sec. So, there are voter list records for Aidini, Vrioules, Elispondos, Constantinople, Atalia, Ismaili, I don't know where that is, Prusa, Smyrna, Chesme, Trapezunda. That's it. So for those areas there are voter lists. These are handwritten, available online, not indexed. I think we are currently working on many projects. I think we are going to index those records as well and have them on our website. Are there plans to digitize the Urban Relief Program records anytime soon? Yes. I mean, I would love to do that. I have the equipment, I have the willingness, but the archives in Athens should uh, give the permission, so it's up to them. It's not up to me, but I would love to do it, and I can tell you, it's it's a huge collection. It's very interesting, and frankly, it's a very it's a very moving collection. Like all those people, uh, their property listed and evaluated as if they wanted to sell it. They were made to go. They had no other choice, right? So it's really ironic to see those records. Anyway, um, do we have any other questions? Carol has been sending you some of the links here. All right. Yes. So Kyriaki Anagnostopoulou asks if I can send the link for the Rural Relief Program Register. Yeah, I can do that. I will not do it now. Um, but you know what? Tomorrow or in the next few days, I will update the Asia Minor Ancestry article on the website. Keep an eye on that, and I will include these links. Okay, I know you really need them. I'm located in Patra, Greece. If any of you if any of you travel to Greece and want to volunteer to help digitize, yeah, that would be great. That would be great, and it would be a very good opportunity to meet you all, or at least some of you, um, and yeah, that would be amazing. Records for urban relief available in Thessaloniki. All the urban relief records are in Athens, but they are for all refugees who came to Greece. All right, I think it's time to end this webinar. I'm really sorry for the technical issues, and unfortunately, I'm not sure I can publish this video on YouTube now. Perhaps I will have to record again. But thank you all very much for this. See you next week. The topic will be announced in the next few days, and I hope you learned something today, despite all the difficulties we had. Again, thank you, and see you next Saturday. Bye, guys.